like so. And then when you're done, you can check your seam before you move on. Sometimes your ending position will have the needle still in the fabric and it won't come out. Don't yank on it, just move the needle up. And then you can cut your threads.
Clean up all the stray threads.
Yeah, you get a lot of stray threads when you're sewing a big garment. Then you can check your work. And there's your seam. Yay! Nice little seam. Does anyone feel bold enough to try sewing the other seam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
We have a taker. You may sit in the chair. The hot seat.
There's so many.
Who's in the hot seat?
She's drawing a seam on the machine.
Oh, so this side, this way first.
Yep. I mean, it's dependent on your personal preference, but whatever's easiest.
About this far?
You're going to want to make sure that the needle is above the corner, like the very corner end of the fabric when you start. So
Okay,
push it a
so
little.
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to make sure you get the whole fabric length.
And then.
And then foot down, right?
Don't make the same mistake I did. Always put the foot down.
Okay. And then just push lightly.
Yep.
Sewing it in life. Always put your foot down. And then push this down.
Yep.
I like that.
Way to remember.
Nice.
Thank you. Oops, my bad.
Yeah, you got to hold it down. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that. You have to hold the notch down.
Okay, that's a little really off.
Oh,
Yep. That happens.
don't worry about
Okay,
it.
so in that case, would I have to like use a seam ripper or?
Probably. And I don't have one on me.
I mean,
Just went a little bit off. If
think
it's a
you can
little mistake
continue.
like this, technically it's the inside of the fabric, so you wouldn't technically have to seam rip it. So you just cut and start over.
Nice. I'm sure people could barely tell.
Yeah, exactly. And unless your costume's like being judged by someone at a masquerade,
and they're flipping all your seams over.
yes.
They
do that?
They do, yeah.
Like, well, no, the one that I at Anime Milwaukee, they didn't.
Oh no,
They didn't flip seams?
They passed my Jack Sparrow coat around and they all like stared at it. And they didn't put the seams on my vest or anything.
Oh,
They
okay.
all like stared at it.
Yeah, they do that for if you're going for being judged in a costume contest, specifically for the costume.
The thing for Jack though, besides his coat and vest, there's not really many seams that you can flip because the rest of it's like tough
Yeah.
to stash.
Yeah. Usually it's gonna be on you anyway, so it's not that many seams that they check anyways.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
That's right.
And then
Alright.
push this up and then pull it.
You have
Oh.
to get the needle out of the fabric
Okay.
first.
So just pull.
Yep.
There you go.
Like so.
Nice work.
And that is your seam.
Cool.
Dun-dun-dun.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Pretty straight seam too. Good job.
Really?
So yeah, when you're sewing an entire garment, it can get frustrating. And if you sew too fast on this machine, there's a risk of like it bunching or jamming because it's kind of an old, not super good quality machine. But if you go slow and you have patience with it, it will work for you.
If you have any problems, don't feel free to contact an officer. It's a finicky machine. We understand if something
Yeah.
doesn't go right the first time you try, or maybe even like the fifth time.
Or even the fifth time, you know, sometimes.
That will probably quite possibly happen with me.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Are there any questions? And
Good
as
job.
Yeah,
Slay.
thank you. And if you forget, there are nice handy little diagrams here on the machine that explain this one here is threading the top thread, this one's winding the bobbin, this one's threading the bobbin, and this one on the bottom here is how to load the bobbin into the bobbin case. So if you forget and you don't want to like text one of the officers, just look at the diagrams. It should hopefully help.
Ooh,
Does it have a manual?
It does have a manual. We will give you the manual when we give you the machine.
Cool.
is this the tension?
I've never messed with the tension.
Yeah. Just in general. Yeah, what she said. Do not touch.
Yeah.
Do not touch the tension under any circumstances. It can fuck up the machine. Whoops. Well, it can really make bad things
We
happen.
get your point.
It can mess up your sewing
Yes.
serendipity.
Not only your sewing.
There's this hole in the back here. What's that for?
Oh. Which hole?
Not entirely sure, actually.
What are we talking about?
Oh, that.
Any idea what this hole is for?
Let me look at it out of my way.
I don't know if that actually has a purpose.
No, it does. I think that's actually the.
Good question, though.
Might be the tension on the bottom.
No, your tension's usually on the bottoms down somewhere in here.
Right.
It's probably in the manual.
Probably. Good question. I've never had any problems that involved utilizing that hole.
Oh, isn't that for like
Oh god.
Thank you, Jenna.
Is that for the width of the stitches? I mean, like, I
don't know
just see my
about-
grandma use it sometimes.
It could be.
Oh, I think I figured it out, actually.
What is it? Alright.
So, what she was saying about the width of the stitches, this, I think, adjusts your stitch width. You see the plus sign and the negative sign? You have to, like, obviously use a screwdriver or something to, like, push it
That seems
over.
very unhandy.
Yeah.
It's this is a really cheap machine. This machine was $80 at Walmart. It was. It works, but it was cheap. It was the first thing I ever bought with my first Starbucks paycheck.
That's
Was
nice.
a new sewing machine. Also, pro tip: I don't know if any of you guys will ever have to utilize this feature, but if you see on the blue here, all these different stitches, you just turn the dial. And you see like there are numbers on the dial, so say that I want stitch 7,
You just turn it to 7,
and then it'll stitch 7.
and you'll see that it will move the needle as well.
So what difference do these different stitches make?
Some of them are decorative, like this one is decorative, this one is decorative. The zigzag stitches tend to be better for like more elasticy, stretchy fabrics. They have
Oh, right.
yeah.
Found that out recently.
Yeah.
Oh. It
Yeah, that's what it is.
basically just
Serger
keeps the
stitch.
stretch in the fabric with the thread, because sometimes if you don't have like an elastic thread and you sew a normal stitch, your fabric won't stretch as well.
Or if you have fabric or clothing that you know is gonna have a lot of tension put on the seams.
But yeah, for the most part, for like beginning sewing, the straight stitches tend to work the best, and if I needed a stretchy one, I just use number 8. But if you have the machine and you feel adventurous, feel free, whoa, squeaky. Feel free to experiment with different stitches, because variety is the spice of life. And that's all I got for you guys, unless there are more questions.
How can we sign up for borrowing it?
Talk to an officer.
Okay.
And we will get it to you, and then you each get it for a week. And then if you still need it when your week is up, provided no one else has asked for it, you can keep it for another week.
Can I have a go at it?
Yeah, go for it! Knock yourself out!
All right.
Clunk. Not that you haven't, like, you know, borrowed this machine before.
Not like
This has been with
Just a
the.
general selling question. What constitutes as the inside of the fabric?
It's basically the. You know how like, yeah, you know how like they have the print fabrics
having fun finishing this.
where like you have one side that has the print and the other side that's kind of a bit faded.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
teeny tiny bit.
That's adorable.
Basically, you want to sew on the faded side.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. So when
Unless
you turn
like
it.
the fade.
Or
It
that.
doesn't always matter.
I was trying to think of
Like a standard solid
bunny?
print fabric,
It
it
might
really
fit a
doesn't
bunny.
matter either
I want
way.
a bunny.
But sometimes there are like